Strickland's very savvy on the floor. He's very wily. He's very smart. So there's not going to be anything easy that Hermansson's going to catch him with. It's going to be a case of chaining things together. And that might be the same on the feet as well. Now, I've picked out a takedown for Hermansson, which is one of my favorites. As I said, Strickland's got, 82% takedown offense. So Hermansson's going to have to probably work for it. He might have to chain a few things together. So the one I've picked out, and my favorite, is David Branch, because he has to adapt to this a little bit. Now, David Branch, as you can see, is crashing forward, and Hermansson's going to catch him stepping with a cross and level change. But as he level changes, Branch is able to get an underhook in, which you can see is this arm here. That is in front of Jack Hermansson's arm, which is going to make it very difficult for him to finish this takedown. And as now David Branch has felt this contact, he's starting to jog his hips back a bit. Hermansson comes up to a body lock. So Hermansson's going to now slide up as David Branch's hips disappear away from him. And now he's going to utilize that underhook that David Branch has got with his right arm. That's going to become an overhook for Hermansson's left arm. Now he's clamped onto that, and he's going to utilize that underhook by driving it down towards the canvas. At the same time, he's going to step up with this back foot here to bring his rear foot in, so he can now start to pivot and turn David Branch towards the overhook. So there's the step up, the pressure down on the overhook, and as he goes to trip him here, you can see Hermansson puts his left leg out as a bar to try and trip him over it. But as I said, you sometimes have to couple these things together. And the reason why this is one of my favorite takedowns of Hermansson's is because of he manages the momentum very well. He understands the problem. He reestablishes the block on the foot, and he's able to finish it. So as you see here, David Branch is able to step across that, plants that base foot, which is not what Jack Hermansson wants, but still pulling down on the underhook, and he's going to bring this back foot up to basically replicate the same movement again. We're going to see him spin one more time, step up, pull down on the underhook, and this time he's using his foot on the knee, and that's going to block David Branch's right foot. It's going to stop him basing out and being able to keep himself on his feet. And as you'll see with the momentum, Jack Hermansson is going to be able to spin him all the way through into a side control. And then he immediately goes to clamp onto the head, because as David Branch is a black belt, he knows the right thing to do is to start turning to face him and build a frame. So that's now what David Branch has done. Now Hermansson's going to grab the underside of his head and start to pry him to try and expose his back, try and turn him and roll him over. Because as we talked about from the Meerschaert fight, one of the best positions for Jack Hermansson to be in is back mount top with ground and pound. Once you're flattened out, it's game over. So as you can see here, he's using this to pry David Branch over and roll away from him to expose his back. And Branch, feeling like he's got no other option, he turns, but he turns very quickly to try and avoid getting his back taken. And as he does, you'll see this hook over the far shoulder. This is his, we're mates in a photo on Instagram. Like, he's got his arm around him. But that's going to change very quickly, because he's going to move the arm from one side of his head over to the other. Now, this becomes a very threatening move then, and you'll see how David Branch reacts. So we're watching this arm here. It's going to go over to the other side of his head and cap his chin. Then we're going to see the right arm of Jack Hermansson come all the way around and go underneath the body of David Branch to meet his hands together. Comes around, hands meet, and now we can see the left knee driving forward. At the same time, David Branch is trying to posture up because he knows, we're going to see it here again. So watch the arm switch. Left arm goes over, caps the chin. Right arm comes around and under the body of David Branch, and now hands are together. Now the priority for Hermansson is to get this left knee here, this leg, he needs to get that across to the other side hip, and David Branch needs to posture up and create some space between his shoulder and his neck, which is what he does there. That's the space we're talking about. He needs to keep this space open, because the goal of this technique is to sandwich his head and his shoulder together between the arm and the body of Jack Hermansson, which is what we're going to see happen in a moment. So as you can see, David Branch is posturing. He's trying to keep that space there. And Jack Hermansson is going to slide that knee across his center line to his far side hip, and he's going to hang, and he's going to drag him to the floor. And a cheeky David Branch grabs onto the cage there for a moment, but Hermansson stays clamped on. He stays tight. So he's got that kind of lasso grip around the head and arm of David Branch, and you can see his foot there. He's driving that knee across to the far side hip. So as he starts to, and it's a lovely little kick off the fence there as well, you can see. Why not? Love it. As he kicks off the fence there, you can see that knee's driving across the center line, and then as they land, you're going to actually see the top of the kneecap poke through. Where are we? There we go. So this is the final point. That's the knee of Jack Hermansson, the left knee driving across, and then we've got the heel there of the right foot. So they are clamped together, holding David Branch in that position, whilst at the same time he's got that head and arm trapped against his body and squeezing into the side of his neck. There's not a great deal David Branch can do. And that's a really nice submission against a good black belt. He also almost got Jacare with it as well, which is very, very impressive. So you've got to think, if Sean Strickland's pushing forward and walking him down, there's going to be opportunities where he might be able to level change and get an overhook. He might be able to start tripping. He might be able to start reaping him and throwing him. But what he doesn't want is to find himself here walked back against the fence where Sean Strickland's circling him on to that right hand. Now, this is what I was talking about with the options.